Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Dream of Crafts. My name's Deanna and I want to apologize to my followers, my subscribers. I haven't been on in a while. I've been trying to get caught up from the Christmas hustle and bustle, and I'm taking care of my granddaughter again for a few weeks, and we're going to do a video as long as she stays sleeping, and we're going to do a folio. And I didn't want to really do Valentine's, so it's going to be in that color range, in that theme range, but I'm not going to put Valentine on it, just more of like a love type thing. We are going to create two sections exactly the same, and I got one all put together so you can get an idea, and then we'll do the other ones separate. And we got a waterfall flip there. Then this pops up. You've got a pocket here with a couple of tags. You've got plenty of room for a photo right up here, like so. And then you could put another cut down photo here, or we could put a journal plate there. We've got another tag here. And then this flips up like this. I did not put paper coverings on these. You could, but I'm afraid it's going to get way too full. And then these all flip open. And then, of course, this is an expandable pull-out. So you got plenty of room for photos here. And on the back side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 photos all together there. And then here's another pocket here, of course. This is like an expandable pocket. It's got an 1/8 inch gusset on each side, so it's a little fuller. And this tag here, and you can have plenty more tags in there, will help hold that down. And then of course you got room for another photo here. Put that. And this closes back up, and then this whole thing opens up here. You've got a full sheet here. You could do a 5x7 here, and you've got a flip up, flip down, another full page here. Got little tuck spots here. We'll be creating some tags for that. And then these also are pockets with the tags in. And then we will glue this side down right inside of our book. So you have two of these identical. I think I'm going to make my other pockets face this way. So when this is closed, they'll be like that. But I'm not sure. Maybe I'll make them facing the same way. It's really not going to matter. So if I make them facing the other way, then we can have this one on the right and the other one on the left, and they would face out. I created, this is just regular twine. And what I did was, because I didn't want just the regular twine, I took some of my distress ink, and I didn't have this color, but I'm just going to show you what I did. So it's just a piece of plastic, and then I spread a little water, and then I put the in there like that, and then it just starts pulling up all that dye. And then you can also just take this and dab some on there, squirt it again. And then what I did was I just let it sit to dry over by my heater. So I had my color sitting out, and I don't know if my granddaughter grabbed it earlier or not. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it sucks up all the color, and then you let it dry and you can use it. I just didn't want plain white. So that's how I did that. Let me get this out of the way here a second, and we'll get started putting one of those together. And then once we get it together, then we will create the cover. And I think I'm going to make a hard cover for it, because I'm going to wait to put my string on. A hard cover so that it's more sturdy, but I'm still going to call it folio. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So we have our first base sheet here, and that is cut at 8 3/4 high by 7 3/8 wide. I scored at 1/2 of an inch and at 5/8 of an inch to give me an 1/8 of an inch gusset on this. We will glue this part down in our book, so we're not worried about that. All right. And then our pockets, we cut 2 at 6 wide by 4 1/2 high and 2 6 wide by 5 1/4 high. And we're going to score those 5 1/4 edge at 1/2 inch. And then I like to flip it and score it 1/2 inch again. That's just the way I prefer to do it. I know it's exactly the same. Then I've run into problems before where it's not the same. So we're just going to put these together. All right. I'm using my art glitter glue. You can use whatever you like. I'm not going to glue it shut yet until I decide which way I want it to face, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have it faced in the other end. I'm going to line up my edge down here, my edge there, and press it down. There we go. There we go. And just make sure I open it to make sure it's not glued on the inside. What we're going to need for both of these is a 1-inch strip to create a flip mechanism for them. So this is perfect here. This one has to be cut down a bit. Let me just mark it. I'm just going to make a couple of hinges. All right, look at grab my cutter here. Just a second. Like I said, if the baby wakes up, then we'll just stop and I'll continue the rest because we still have to decorate things like that. So I'm going to cut this down 6 inches. Those are 6 inches if you remember our measurements. I'm going to line this up at 1 inch here. And I'm just going to cut those. And this one the same, 1 inch. There we go. Grab a scoreboard here. I tried to have most everything ready, but I guess I didn't think of that. And we're just going to score it 1/2 inch. Away. Score it 1/2 inch. We're going to burnish it. Now with these, I like to burnish. This is, I think it's 65-pound weight cardstock, but it still feels pretty heavy. I don't know if it's because it's textured. I have to kind of go back and forth a couple times just to get that hinge working a little bit better. There we go. All right. Then I'm going to take those and glue them onto these. Like I said, I didn't seal them yet, so I'm not too worried about anything yet. It's on there like that. And just pick an end and line it up right along the edge there. If it does stick out a little over the ends, that's fine. You can snip it off when you're all done. I'm going to do the same to this one. I've got my textured end, but it really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. All right. And if you can see here how that sticks out just a little bit over that edge, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that right off. I can see from this other side, just like that. This one can use a little bit too. There we go. Not a biggie. All right. So we've got our 2 pockets that are going to go on our back page. Our next piece is going to go on top of this, and it is 8 3/4 high by 6 3/4 wide. So we're going to attach that right to this edge here, not going over our gusset line. Just like that. Okay. And I know it's a little hard to see, but we want to stay away from our gusset, our score line. There we go. And this goes together actually quite quickly. So we're going to butt up against the line, line up our top and bottom, but we don't want to go over. Perfect. All right, so you can see we've got a 1/8 of an inch gusset there, just like that. So we can go ahead and put our pockets in. So do I want them facing the other way? Or do I want them facing? Okay. Let's open up this one. Got that one facing that way. You know what? I think it's going to be best having them both face the same way. Okay, so I like this one facing out. I'm afraid that if I have it, I think I'm going to have them both facing out just so it makes it easier to pull the tags out. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with this hitting right here. So we're going to have them both facing the same exact way. So I'm going to seal up this end here with a little bit of glue. And then we got to put our paper down, our decorative cardstock down before we put these down. And then I want to seal this one down here also. So this one is going to flip up, and this one is going to flip down. Okay, just like that. So we got a up, we got an up and a down. Okay. So let's see here. Do I have our decorative cardstock cut? I'm not seeing it. So we're going to need, I had this paper here. Oh, I didn't have everything cut. My goodness sakes. All right. All I did. So we need a piece. This is 8 3/4 by 7 3/8. So we need 7 1/4. 7 1/4 wide. So let's go ahead and take the top off. These are, I'm using all authentic papers, and I only have 2 from a newer pack, and then the other is from a couple years ago, the other ones. So our width here was 7 3/8, so we want 7 1/4. Take off an 1/8 of an inch of that. And our height was 8 3/4, so we want 8 5/8. That should be perfect. All right, let's double check. Oh, boy, was I off. What did I do? Do 8? Must have. 7 1/4. What did I must have done 8 1/4. No, I did do 7 1/4. Oh, that's right. That's why. Sorry, I forgot. It's 6 3/4 wide because of the gusset. 6 3/4. So 6 5/8. 6 5/8 for that piece. Forgot about my gusset and my hinge attachment. There we go. All right, we're going to use some black soot. I thought about doing more of an antique color, but I didn't like the looks of that when I had it on there. So 6 5/8 by 8 5/8 is what you all cut your top to. Or if you make this a different size, if you make your book a different size, then of course you'll have to adjust to that. I like to do about 1/8 of an inch smaller. Some people like to do 1/4 of an inch smaller. It's all what you like. It all depends on your preference. Let's make up the difference there. There we go. Okay. Now we can do our flips. And I just kind of eyeballed them so that they were about 1/4 of an inch in from this printed edge here. Give me about 1/2 inch there. But if you want, you can take your ruler and come in off that edge 1/2 inch. Just like that. I'm going to line up my white edge at 1/2 inch. And leave everywhere there. I'm going to take my down one. My opening is to the right. We'll add some glue here. And if you prefer to use tape, by all means, use tape. I prefer to use glue. I trust it for the long-term effects. All right, I'm holding that ruler with my hand, making sure it's lined up here. I'm just going to rest my hand on there. I'm going to drop this all the way down to the bottom and slide it up against that ruler. Right down to the bottom there and up against my ruler. There we go. Go, just like that. Then we'll do the top the same. We're going to line up that ruler. Make sure our opening is on the right. There's our top flap. Hold that down with my hand. Line it up with my decorative cardstock there. There we go. Give it a good press. Perfect. Flip up, flip down. And then we have our pocket here, pocket here. Now, we will cut this part out here once we get it all lined with the paper. So we can actually go ahead and do that right now. Some of the tags are going to go in there. Boop, boop. And we should have some pink cut. All right, let me see here. All right. 10 packets. Okay, those going inside. Those going in. Apparently I didn't cut those either. Goodness gracious. Are they in my scraps? I have a stack of scraps here. I wonder if I put them in that. Sure did. Look at that. Good thing I didn't cut them up. All right. Good thing I didn't cut them up. Sorry about that. These are for the back side here. All right. So these are cut the exact size too, which was 6 wide by 4 1/4 high. And I will tell you the names of these that I used from Authentique when I go to do, oops, let me put some black soot on here. When we go to decorate the cover and stuff, I'll make sure I go through all that. I just want to get this together if I can before she wakes up, so we have at least one done. Just gets crazy busy when I have her all day. And then by the time she leaves, then I have to make sure that I get my stuff done before my husband gets home. And she's not a baby anymore, but she likes to be entertained like any little kid. So she's 3, and she's a good girl. But like I said, she likes learning to do all the things. And of course, if I try to craft anything and then she wants to try it or do it, which is fine. I like teaching her. So we have fun doing that together. The other day she wanted to use the die cutting machine. So I got out some dies, and we were cutting some flowers I want to do. And she wanted to turn, and I said, well, when's it my turn? She said, maybe tomorrow. So that was the answer I got. All right, I'm going to snip this up, and I'm going to line, I don't know if you can see it in here. I'm going to line up, I think, with this here. I want to see how deep that goes. So I'm just going to open this up like this. Slide this in here. And I want to line it up with this here. There's a little post here and a little post here. And that makes it so I can get them the same. Makes it kind of nice. And I'm just eyeballing side to side. We can mark it just so we have a better idea. Because once that gets in there, it stretches out. Let's get the right end. So these are 4 1/4. So we need 2 1/8. So we'll make a mark there. Let's do the same thing here. 2 1/8. Okay. Now we know that's our center. And we can get this back in there. You can see our little, whoops, lift it up. Center point there and there. See it? And it's going to be a little hard to press because it's thick. There we go. It is thick. Do the same for this one. Get it in there. Line it up. Top part of that wants to. There we go. Perfect. All right. So now I had this little scrap. This is the 2 from this year that I had. I had 2 sheets of this, and that's all I had. So I used every single bit of it. Not any of it, I don't think, went to waste. Maybe if it did, it was a tiny, tiny amount. So, all right. Maybe like an inch of it. So we're going to figure out what we need for this here. I want to say, let me mark it, and then we'll cut it. It's got to slide inside of there, so we're going to go to there. All right, get my cutter here. And I'm not going to open this up since it's just here, otherwise I normally would, because otherwise it was. Okay. So this is probably the only part that I didn't use on the other one. And then this is, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it to cut it in half. It doesn't have to be exact. It's going to slide down in my pocket. Well, come here. It doesn't really matter. Make sure they fit in there. It's just going to slide in to be the back of that pocket. It's just a little too wide. But instead of getting that cutter back out, I'm just going to trim it with my scissors just a little bit there. There we go. All right. And we ink the edges. We don't have to ink all the way around, just the top edge there. See, let's double check again. Perfect. All right, go ahead and put some glue on there. Just like that. Slide it in. Line it up exact with that edge there. All right. Same thing here. And I'm not worried about that little crookedness down there because it's going to be slid in. No one's going to see that. All right. Oh, go on in there. Again. Line it up with that bottom edge there. There we go. Lift it up so you can see it. It's very cute paper. I wish I had more. The back was that, so I wasn't. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to create the pocket here. So because I had these that were short, put these on. What do I do about that white? Oh, well, I'm going to have to put a strip across there because I put these underneath the other one. And I can't pull those off now. So we'll decorate those. I'm talking about this 1 inch here. So apparently the other one I put on prior to putting my decorative cardstock on. I thought I put it on. It's not. Must have been something. Oh, I know that was that waterfall. I know. Okay. All right, there. And see, we have the strip that's not covered here. So that's what these are for. And these were, let me tell you how long they were. They were 5 3/16, and then scored a 1/2 inch on each end. And then we're just going to glue the tab, a strip along this here, and then this tab, and that'll create a little pocket for us here, just like so. Just like so. There we go. Okay. I have to think about how I want to do that. Oh, you know, that might look pretty cool. I have these scraps of those. Boy, that's just going to create more stuff in there. Let me get this scored down. It's this right here. It's a little pocket. And they will break in after they've been used for a bit. They'll start to break in, but right now they're a little stiff. Top and bottom. There we go. Okay. And other things will hold them together too. So let's go ahead and put our other one in here. And these ones are already covered with the black soot, so we don't have to worry about doing those. Another little pocket. Again, just a little bit there. Just a tiny pocket to hold a small tag that we'll create. And we're going to put that just like the other one. Bring it to that bottom edge there. I might fold that one in just a little bit further because it's right on that line for right on the line. Put a bit more glue there. I don't want it on the line, on my score line there. I do not. Save my score line. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let me just all right. Well, I got this open. What can we put in there? We have this. I suppose I can just. Okay. Let me go ahead and cut this. Just like that. And then we can put that on there. It's the right length already. So let's go ahead, and that's lesson learned. So if you don't want to do that, then just make sure that you put those on prior to putting your paper down. And then I think we can do, what can we do here? Let's do this and the hearts and the dots. So we're going to keep the dots. Keep the dots. And keep those. Let's see what we get. So we do that. That's that. It's pretty wide. I think we can cut it just a little bit higher there, right at the base of those little banner decorations there. Yeah, it's a little longer than we needed, but I think it'll look good. And I think just like that. Okay. Got hanging off. There we go. All right, that'll work. It'll be all right. When you do yours, just remember, put these down prior to, and then run them right up to your edge of your white. Put them right up to your white there, right up to your edge, and then you won't have to cut this a different size. It'll fit perfect. All right. So now this one here is just this. Oopsie. And this was 6 5/8 by 8 5/8. So the same as that base. Okay. It's already got our black soot on it. I want to check something here. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure I didn't have that other piece flipping over the side of that, and it doesn't. It attaches to the other side. Our other flip. Before I glue this down. All right, perfect. And again, we're gonna make sure we stay away from our little gusset there. Yeah. Perfect. All right. And then this is just a little die cutout. It says love that I got from AliExpress. And we're just going to glue that right down there. It's just a cute little cutout. I have a Cricut too, but when you start cutting tiny things out like this on the Cricut, I seem to have more trouble than it is to just quick run it through a die. So I'm just going to put that right down in this corner. There we go. All right, so that's that. We're going to flip this back this way. And now we have our flip up. Our flip up is 9 3/8 high. by 6 3/4 wide. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch on your 9 3/8 inch edge. And then I'm going to burnish that. We got a 1/4 inch gusset with this one, which we need because of our pockets and stuff. So that's going to lay just like that. And it will be up just a tiny bit from that edge. That's exactly what we want. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue on this edge here. I flattened it down so my 1/4 inch gusset is flattened out for right now. So I can get a good contact with my top edge there. Making sure I'm lined up nice. Edges. Okay. Give it a good press there. Good press. Open it, check it, make sure it's pressed down good, and then recreate my 1/4 inch. Then you got a nice little, just a little, it makes it easier to pick it up. It's not too much once it's flattened out. It's just like a little 1/16 of an inch actually when this is straight. Okay, so we have 2 pockets. Our bottom pocket, which is going to be down here, is 7 3/4 wide. Where is that one? Yeah. 7 3/4 wide by 4 inches high. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch on each end. So this is the one that goes at the top there. This one goes up here like that. Okay. Just like that. So we can go ahead and glue that one down. So we need glue on our tabs, glue on the bottom, and glue on the other tab. All right. Let's line this up. We're going to stay just above our 1/4 inch gusset there. We don't want to interfere with that. So just a smidge above that. I'll hold it up here in a second and show you. Give it a good press. You can see there's my gusset, and my bottom of that just comes up to it but does not cross over it. All right, then we have another pocket. This is the pocket with the 1/16 inch gusset. So you're going to cut this one at 8 inches wide. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Turn it, score at 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch, and then you'll end up with that just that little gusset because it's a little more pocket room. All right. So I'm going to put a little glue here, get that fastened down. I'm just going to kind of pinch that at the bottom there. Just a little bit, keeping the gusset. And I'm going to do the same here. Just make it easier once we get to gluing it down. Keep my gusset kind of, there we go. All right. See, it's just kind of pinched. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it easier to hold that gusset together. All right, and don't forget to do a line down at the bottom here, just like so. There we go. And that's going to go right down at the bottom of this one here. So line up your bottom and your edges. There we go. Perfect. And if it smushes out while you're putting it down, let's kind of hold it there. I'm going to go in with, let's see what I'm going with. I'm going to go in with this and kind of flatten that down a little bit. So I don't want my gusset all stretched out. Because if you flatten your gusset down when you're gluing it down, it will kind of pudge out. There we go. All right. So now I want to look to make sure how I did this one. Okay, so let me take the tag out. So I put this on before I attach my other paper. So we want to do the same thing. So let me grab this. So our next thing is for our pull out. All right. Oh, guess what I just found? My two pieces for our flip up pockets. All right. So with this, we have one piece that is 6.5 wide by 5.5 high. You're going to score it at a 1/2 inch on your 5-inch edge, 5.5 inch edge, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. But one's going to be turned up and the other one's going to be turned down, because one is going to get glued to the next piece and the other one's going to get glued inside of the book. Okay. You have one that is 6.5 wide by 9.5 inches high. You're going to score that at 4.5 inches and at 9 inches. Okay, 4.5 and 9 on your 9.5 inch edge. You're going to fold that down, and it's going to be like that. So this will go down, and then this will go down this way. So, okay, you'll know once you go to fold it in. So this one gets attached to this. Okay, let me get this right here, because it's got to flip. When it's done, it's got to flip like this. Okay, it's got to open this. This has got to face down. So we're going to attach this one to this one here. Okay, I made an X here, and I have an X here. So I'm going to put glue on this one. Remember, this is just our single hinge, and a score at 4.5. And then I'm going to glue this like that. Okay, so just like so. Make sure those are lined up, edges are lined up. Give it a good squeezy. Okay, so like that. All right, remember to keep this facing down, but they have to keep accordioning it, and you keep it making mountains and valleys, mountains and valleys. All right, so now, since we've got a mountain, now we need another valley. So this one will get glued down to here. Okay, so you'll have mountain, valley, and then this will get glued down to the book. Okay, so we're going to take this, and the reason you do that is because you want them to collapse down on each other. Otherwise, you have to keep cutting them smaller and smaller in order to get them to fold in on each other. Okay, so I'm just lining that up again, lining up my edges, giving that a good press. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, this was our first piece. Had no hinges. Okay, just scored at 4.5. Okay. Right, so this piece was 6.5 wide by 9, scored at 4.5 inches. No other score marks. Our next piece was 6.5 inches wide by 9.5 inches high, and it was scored at a 1/2 inch, or at 4.5 inches and 9.5 inches. Okay. And your last piece was 6.5 wide by 5.5 high, and it was scored 1/2 inch on each of the 5.5 inch edges. So you have a nice thing. So mountain, valley, mountain, and that's the top of your mountain, and that's what's going to get glued in right here. Okay, we're going to glue that in center it. You'll have about 1/8 of an inch on each side. And again, you're going to come up, but not past your score line for your gusset. This keeps a small real estate space, but gives you lots of photo opportunity. Okay, flip this up gently so I can. Just like so. All right, perfect. So flip up, flip up, flip up. You can flip down, or you can open it all the way up this way, or all the way up that way. Perfect. And then when you put your tag in, of course, that will help hold that closed, but we're also going to have that string that's going to close everything up too. Okay, so let's go ahead and decorate this section. If I can find my decorative pieces. Oh my gosh, I swore I cut everything, but apparently not. All right, I do have this piece here that decorates this. All right, that is, maybe I don't, maybe I don't, maybe I don't. Oh, goodness sakes. I don't know what I did with that. Oh, right here. Okay, it's right there. When things turn upside down, then it gets a little confusing. I'm going to put these tags in here for right now. Get them out of my way so they don't get lost. And then we will quick cut up the cover to these. Now, like I said, I'm not going to put anything on the inside here because it makes it too bulky. You may if you want. All right. So these are just the knots, love knots. And I've just cut one of each. One to go on the bottom of this. And one to go on the top there. And then we'll slide that in between. And you might see a little white, you might not. It's not a big deal. And you can use a whole piece if you want, but I wanted to use up as much of this paper as I could. So this one's going to be perfect. The other one I had just a little tiny bit of white showing, but I cut the second set of those strips just a little wider. All right. There we go. So line it up there. Perfect. All right. And see, these don't go in there because they're too narrow. I think that goes on a tag. Those are tags. Well, I guess I didn't cut them, so we'll quick cut them. So we need 2 pieces. Let's get these tags out of here. We can always do the tags later. I want to get this covered here. So we need one that is 6 5/8 wide by whatever, by at least 6. So we'll cut this in half at 6. Cut it in half at 6. So let's cut this label off here. I think partway through I decided to start cutting. I want to keep my direction this way. I think, right? Okay. Hang on here. Let me remeasure that. All right. Yeah, 6 5/8. 6 and a half. I think I can get rid of 6/8. So let's do that first. We'll do 6 and 5/8 and see if that works. And then I think 6 inches. That's half. So let's see. Get with that. You can always trim it down a little bit. So this is going to go inside there. Perfect. We want the polka dot though. So let's go ahead and again, we don't have to do the bottom edge, just whatever's going to show. I should have cut it the other way because then my knots are the wrong way. Oh well, I've got plenty. I'll cut another one. I've got lots of this paper, lots of these ones that I'm using, but I only had 2 of the other ones. So, but I have lots of sheets of this one. All right, we're going to slide that down in there and bring it right down. Bring it up to where thing is, center it. Perfect. Look at that. We go down. Let's take this tag that's already finished and we'll slide that in there. Yeah. All right, so then this one is going to go in that other pocket. Okay. This one slides right in there. Bring it down just so you have a little edge showing. Perfect. All right. Okay, so now we need the black bit. Since I cut this wrong, then we'll just cut the other one. And we will cut this one at, measure it, 6 and 5/8. So this one does get 6 and 5/8. 6 and 5/8. Cut this off. I have to get this off underneath here, otherwise it's bumped up and it ain't gonna let me cut right. We'll have crooked cuts. This one too. Get that one out of the way. These machines can be so fussy. I already have trouble with them sometimes. All right. So 6 and 5/8 wide. So that is right there. And then we need them. It's 4 inches high. Both of them are the same height. So 3 and 7/8. 3 and 7/8. Let's give them some ink. And these got to be inked all the way around. Just double check. There we go. Perfect. All right. that. I've got 2 tags here. These are just for my scrap whites and scrap pieces. 3.5 wide by 6 1/4 high, and then these are 3 8 wide by 6 1/8 wide. This one was 6 3/8 wide by 3 1/4 wide, and then your piece was 6 1/4 by 3 1/8. Okay, so you're already ready to go. And whatever scraps you want, you can do your tags different sizes too if you want. These were just some of the bigger scraps, and I thought they looked perfect. So, all right, so there's that one. And then put this one on there. And then the square one was the same. And I'll tell you the dimensions that was left over too. Like I said, it was just scraps from my white. We'll be making more tags from the scraps, but these ones just happen to be just about ready. I mean, I cut a little bit off of them, but not much. And put that one in there. And then this piece was just a little bigger, 5 5/8 by 5 5/8, and I did 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. And again, this is already smudged up with the black soot. But, come on. Okay. Put that up here so I can get that on there. Just like that. Slide it. Okay. Perfect. So we can slide this one back in here because the other one's already in the other one. And this tag goes in here. And there's another tag somewhere. It must have fell, but it's exactly like that one. All right. So that's that. Our top page, we're going to do the waterfall flip. Now, I decided to do that in the paper that it was going to be in because I did it in white. Somewhere here, I did it in white, oh, right there. And then by the time you add stuff to it, it's just way too heavy. All right, I have her, she's awake. Just a minute, baby. She's awake, so I will do this in the next video with when we do the cover. So thanks for joining me. And if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, if you consider subscribing, you can hit the subscribe button down in the right-hand corner. And when you do, the bell will pop up. If you select the bell, you can choose how you would like to be notified. You can be notified each time I put up a video. And thanks for joining me. Till the next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.